What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Ragin Ronin review. Got a review for you. I checked out The Five Bloods on Netflix. It's the latest film from director Spike Lee. It's a Spike Lee joint, rather, if you will. And it is a Vietnam War era film. Actually, I'd like to say that it's partially a Vietnam War era film because only a part of this film takes place during the Vietnam War era. I think like a quarter of this film takes place during that time, and it's told through flashbacks. The bulk of this film actually takes place during modern day. And the premise is simply that, well, the Five Bloods refer to these five brothers in arms, these African-American soldiers who fought in the Vietnam War. And four of them are reuniting together in modern day to go back to Vietnam. They're going to take a trip out to Vietnam, and they're there to bring back these gold bricks or gold bars that they discovered and buried in these mountainous, these fields where they fought the Vietnam War. They encountered enemy contacts there, and then they found this gold, and then they just had to bury it because there's no way they could have brought it back with them during that time. So that's what this trip is about. They're going back to find those bars, bring it back, and also bring back the remains of their fifth blood, and that would be played by Chadwick Boseman. Now, keep in mind that Chadwick Boseman is only seen during the Vietnam War era scenes, only during flashbacks. So he's not front and center. This is definitely not a Black Panther film. This is a film about the four of the Five Bloods, okay? And that's what the premise is. Simply put, that's what it is. Okay, sounds interesting enough. And it kind of reminds me of this other film that is an Iraq War era film. It's called The Three Kings. It stars Mark Wahlberg, George Clooney, and Ice Cube, and they're there to bring back these gold bricks that they found in Saddam Hussein's bunker. So, very, very similar story, but this one's a little, this one's a little different because it's a Spike Lee joint, and, you know, he puts African Americans front and center. Like, that's a huge theme of this film, actually, because they're getting these gold bricks for themselves as well as to distribute to the African American communities of America. So you can see that there's this Black Lives Matter theme in this film, which is great. You know, I'm glad that there are directors like Spike Lee who are acknowledging that. Now, with regards to this film, I'd like to first point out that there's a lot of great acting in this film. Delroy Lindo, bar none, he's the strength in this film that holds the cast together. His energy, his acting, and his performance in this entire film is the glue that holds everybody together. So, you know, hats off to him for his great performance. And then there's everybody else who are also putting in good performance, but definitely Delroy Lindo is on the spotlight. Now, what I like to say is that I like all these characters, even though there's some that, even though Delroy Lindo's character is the one that's the most difficult, and one that I'd really like to, you know what I'm saying? Like, just shut up, you know what I'm saying? He's the one that causes all the problems, but I love all the different character dynamics in this film. Like, they're all so very different, and they all come with their own stories, and they all want to do what they want to do with their share of the gold. So that is a very interesting aspect about this film. But besides that, this film is not really I wouldn't say it's a Vietnam War era film. It's a lot like Three Kings in the sense that the war is over, but they're there with their own personal mission, and that's what it's really all about. Now, this is a very, very long movie, okay? It clocks in at, I think it's 2.5 hours. For a simple premise like that, I think it's a little bit too long. And there's a lot of moments of there's a lot of character moments, a lot of exposition, and a lot of scenes with a lot of PTSD, which is actually, you know, normal for like it's part of being a Vietnam War era vet, or any war for that matter. But there's a lot of PTSD moments in this film, and I think that it really takes away from the pacing of this film, and that's where I feel that some of the problems come in, because this is a simple film. It's got a simple premise, and they've introduced the obstacles, but I think they drag it out a bit. They really do drag it out to the point where we feel like, okay, we get it. Like, let's just get the movie rolling. Let's just keep it going, right? And like, it jumps back and forth, and I really do like how Spike Lee decided that for the Vietnam War scenes, they decided to shoot it so that it looks very vintage. So you can clearly see that this is modern day, and this is the Vietnam War era. The only thing is this, and now this is very, very distracting. I think that this is something that really takes away from the film, thus making me take away a very huge chunk of the score from this film. Okay, and that is in the Vietnam War era scenes, the four Bloods, okay, the ones that are going to claim the gold, they're the same age as they are in the Vietnam era as they are in modern day. They did not put any effort to de-age them. They did not put any effort to look for a younger cast. They just used the same actors for both eras. Okay, I'm talking about now, in this case, the production would have taken place in 2019, and the Vietnam War in the 1960s. So think of that time gap. Think of all those years, and they still look the same, and it's actually kind of hilarious, and actually feels like it's a joke. Like, why did they not fix that technical aspect about the film? Whether it's de-aging through CG, or, even easier, finding younger actors. It's funny because, like, at first when you see them, you're like, okay, all right, I'm a little bit confused, but okay, I get it. They didn't bother to de-age them. But then they show scenes with Chadwick Boseman with the other four guys, and I'm like, why is Chadwick Boseman the only one that's young, skinny, and then the other four are fat and old, and they're in the same era? It makes no sense at all, and I think that's a huge, huge screw up for this film. Like, this film could have been something more had they just fixed the pacing of a bit, chopped off a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then fixed that part of the film. So, that's really unfortunate, because I think Spike Lee had something good going on there. So, I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. There's a lot of critics and reviewers really praising this film, but this is a very, very huge technical aspect that takes you away from this film. I cannot ignore this, unfortunately. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I still think it's a good movie, but they really got to fix something like that, because that's a part of the believability of this film. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. 7 out of 10. If you're into this genre and you find that this premise is interesting, go check it out. It's on Netflix. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you enjoyed this review, you want to see more, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.